budding rivalry with his former coach, Hue Jackson. Baker appeared to stare Jackson down during a long pass play in the Browns' win against the Bengals on Sunday. And after the game, Baker was pretty coy about it, so he was asked about it again yesterday. Let's hear it.
I don't get why people have a problem with football being a competitive sport. You're supposed to play with emotion. You're supposed to play with passion. Quite honestly, if you don't like it, whatever. Football's not meant to be a soft game. Could care less. I'm not trying to get anybody's approval. I'm trying to win football games and do this for as long as I can. That's the goal. And the guys inside this locker room know that. And they know that I would fight for them. They know I'd take a bullet for them. And to me, that's what matters. I don't have to make any friends outside of this locker room. I'm not trying to do that. You know, once they're in here, they know exactly what they're going to get. And that's what really matters.
Okay, Shannon, do you have a problem with those comments?
I do. Disrespect isn't competitiveness. You know, he said something in there that he's not trying to make friends. A coach once told me, he said, son, you don't have to make friends, but you damn sure don't want to make enemies. Skip, in this game right here, you covered this game a long time. And the game of football is sanctioned violence. I can do whatever I want to you and dress it up as a football play and nothing happens. I played this game 14.
Maybe a flag flies, but nothing.
But I can dress up as a football player, you never know.
No.
See, the thing is with me, Skip, look, playing this game for 14 years, there have been defensive players that I dislike. And I thought they did some things that was dirty. And I had a way of getting back with them. Baker Mayfield, and see what upsets me is that people these young guys coming to the league, he's so competitive. Like in the 99-year history, the new guy that comes into the league is the most competitive guy that we've ever seen. Baker Mayfield, you want to impress me? You want to prove how competitive you are? Do what you did Sunday to Hue Jackson. Do it to John Harbaugh on Sunday.
Well, he doesn't have a beef with John Harbaugh.
Whoa. He's competitive. Competitive is not about beefs. Competitive, I'm competing against Jenny. I'm competing against Hugh. I'm competing against the camera guy. Doesn't matter. I compete. Nah, he being petty. Because what's the difference? If you don't mind me asking, what happened to Hugh? He got fired. Mike Pettin got fired. Romeo Cornell got fired. Our own Eric Mangini got fired. There are a lot of coaches that got fired.
Bill Belichick got fired.
Bill Belichick got fired. He went and got another job. He happened to get a job with a guy that knew him. Okay, got no problem with that. But Baker's trying to dress this up. Oh, when they ask him about it, no, what are you talking about? I don't know. Now all of a sudden, you know, I'm competing. This is not competitiveness. But let me tell you what's going to happen. Defensive guys are going to get tired of Baker Mayfield. And they're going to dress it up as a football play.
Okay.
And they're going to stop this. The game has gone on far too long to have a young guy come in. Oh, he had a chip on it. Baker, it's the chip on his shoulder. Let me, no, that's not true, Jenny. There have been a lot of guys that had a chip on their shoulder that couldn't play. Baker Mayfield can play. So that chip, we can dress it up all we want to. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, Skip Bayless. There's going to be a defensive guy that Baker Mayfield's going to disrespect a player or their coach. And like he says he would take a bullet for his players and his teammates, so will a lot of other guys on other teams. And they're going to put a stop to this foolishness. And watch what I tell you.
You know what Baker would say to everything you just said? Just bring it on.
Okay.
Just bring it.
Okay.
Just stop me. He would say, just stop me. And if you don't like who I am or what I do, he would say to you, screw you, because that's his attitude toward everybody. Am I right about that? If I can use the oldest school football term, Baker Mayfield back in the early days when I covered the NFL, back in the mid-'70s with the Miami Dolphins, the old line was, he's full of piss and vinegar. That's what he is. He's full of both of those, right? And he spews it all over the field because that's how he motivates himself. We talk about Psycho Tom. Brady just becomes some other guy in the highest forms of competitiveness in the biggest games. He just goes a little crazy. This guy goes crazy just about every Sunday. Because he's not as talented as Brady is overall. He's not as big as Brady. Brady's 6'4", and this kid's 6 feet and something, right? So he's always played with the chip on his shoulder because everybody told him he's too little to play football, definitely to play quarterback. Obviously coming out of Austin, out of high school, nobody recruited him, winds up at Texas Tech, falls apart with Cliff Kingsbury, has to walk on again at Oklahoma. And those kids at Oklahoma loved him. They would, quote unquote, run through walls for him. They would die for him, and vice versa. When he says, I would take a bullet for my teammates, I know it's figurative speech, but again, they believe he actually would do that. And so in the biggest picture, he's just saying, stop me. You know, this is who I am. Just stop me. And he lost it so much. I don't know if you saw that little thing on the sideline. I can't even describe what he did, but he was celebrating a touchdown pass to Fells, and he ran to Freddie Kitchens, his coordinator on the sideline, and did some lewd gesture, which the NFL is not going to like, and it was right on the edge of the sideline. He didn't do it to the other team like he did it to the Kansas Jayhawks. Yeah. But he's just a little over the edge, a little out of control. It's just who he is. Now, that is going to have to stop because the NFL is going to stop that.
The NFL, the guys in this league, Skip, this has been going on too long. They'll police it. They'll rein him in. They'll knock his block off. And then guess what? He's like, well, they're targeting me. They're taking cheap shots. Because I'm going to tell you, they'll rein it in. These guys, they have a way of policing this. They're going to police this. They're not going to let you keep on. But I've never, in all my years, Skip, and you've covered the league longer than I played in it, I've never seen players on an opposing team, once the coach gets fired, be as openly and blatantly disrespectful to Hue Jackson. The guy gets an interception and he hands Hue the ball. Is Hue Jackson the only guy that's gotten fired as a head coach during the season? I'm just Skip.
Okay, but just remember, it goes back to that Hard Knocks incident.
What does Denzel Ward have to be upset about? Because he the one that intercepted the ball and threw it to and handed it to Hue Jackson on the sideline. Okay. So what's he upset about?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know that one. I can only speak for Baker. And again, he's shattering the mold, and maybe the mold will shatter back pretty soon, like you said. But he just doesn't care what anybody else thinks, probably to a fault, but it's what drives him. And trust me on this. This team is going to Baltimore on Sunday for a game that really, really matters in that division. It's going to decide the division. And I believe the Cleveland Browns believe they can go win that game mostly because that kid's playing quarterback for them. Don't you think that?
Yeah, of course.
Because he already...
They should, because they're playing unbelievable.
He already beat the Ravens at Cleveland.
But, Skip, that's what I'm talking about. And Baker Mayfield, he's only two touchdowns away from breaking Peyton Manning, the most touchdown passes by a rookie. That's what we should be talking about.
I'm not sure he's going to be able to pull that off this week.
Not his antics.
That's true, though. Maybe it's been overshadowed a bit by everything else he's doing.
Baker.
I can agree with that.
Do what you did to Hughes, do it to John Harbaugh.
I know, but he doesn't have any reason to do it to John Harbaugh.
Why not? Well, he's competitive. They're not going to get him going. They're going to get his juices flowing.
He's going to find someone. You might be next, Shannon.
I don't think it's John Harbaugh, but I do think it could be Shannon Sharp.
Well, get Sizzle.
Yeah, I do too.
I tell you what, get old Sizzle.
Hey, that'd be...
Get old Sizzle. Hey. I want you to do a little dance in Sizzle face.
There's only one guy who can get Sizzle, and that's this guy right here. I used to get him, but that was on TV. Yeah, not on the football field.
But they shut this down.
By the way, I got a shout out to Suggs because he's playing at a high level. And he wants to continue to play. He's like the Brady of pass rushers, right?
He's what, if he starts this game, plays this game, he'll pass Ray most games in Ravens history.
Wow.
That's saying something.
Is he not the driving force of that defense to this moment?
And he's the link between Ed Reed and Ray. He's the link.
He is the reason they have a chance to get to this Super Bowl. I know they got a young quarterback too, but boy, that defense.
They play old school football.
Yeah. And again, so does Baker Mayfield, and I don't love his chances at Baltimore on Sunday, but Lamar's young too, so...
But you remember last year, Skip, they had an opportunity to get into the playoffs, and they allowed Cincinnati to come in, beat them. Buffalo goes to the playoffs.
They did.
So I'm sure John Harbaugh is warning his team, look, guys, hey, we remember what happened last year on this very field at this very time. And that team is even more dangerous than the team we lost to last year.
So, I said before the year, if Baker Mayfield could start from the start, this team could go 9-7, and I think it could have if he had started from the start. And then he had to overcome Hue versus Todd Haley, which they fought all through Hard Knocks, all the way through the first 8 games, and it wasn't until midway through the season they were both fired. That's hard on a kid quarterback to sort of have to figure that out. It was.
They got rid of both of them.
They did.
Rail swoop.
Yeah, and that was a good move by the owner. He just said, okay, both of you guys are gone. I'm not going to stand for this. I won't tolerate this.
Hey, Jenny, sometimes you got the hair go with the hide.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the baby got to go out with the bat. Because a lot of times, Skip, you know how that works. The head coach get fired, the offensive coordinator stays. No, honestly, no. Y'all bickering too much. It's too much. Yeah, I ain't siding with you. I'm not siding with him.
I know.
Both of you hit the door.
When all of a sudden Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens are making a pretty strong statement, they deserve some serious consideration.
And they deservedly so. Deservedly so.
And nothing Baker would love more than playing spoiler to the Ravens. That is all
he spoils Shannon.
Come on, Ravens. Come on, Sizzle.
Let's see.
OT Sizzle.
He's something.
Well, how much longer is Tom Brady going to play?
Good question.
That's the big question. James Harrison will help us answer next.
Never wonder